Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Anarchy Battles are available immediately. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including more details about Splatoon 3. And then on Thursday, we're ranking the fighters from Street Fighter 2 to mark the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter 2 coming to the Super NES. But Mark, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I have a question for you, Patrick. I need
okay.
a little guidance. You are my Sherpa through life, and so I'm looking to you
All right.
For help here. So what do you do when you order something at a restaurant and it is not good? And
Ooh, it's not good. It's not what you ordered, but it's just not good.
It's just not good.
Why did you order it?
Because I thought it was going to be good.
Okay, have you had it before?
Not at this restaurant.
Okay, so it's a bad execution, but you've not had this dish at this location.
Yeah, that's right.
So you don't know if this is just like someone messed up there, and like if they make another one for you, it will be good?
Right.
Okay, continue with your scenario.
Okay. What do you do at the end when they're like, do you want a box for this? Because I'll tell you what I normally do is I say yes. And then
What?
once I'm out of sight, I throw it away.
Right, okay.
Because I guess I don't want them to know that I thought it was disgusting.
Okay, this is psychotic. You shouldn't do that. It's here. I think it is okay to bring it home if there are parts of it that you can salvage and like repurpose into another meal.
But what difference does it make?
What do you mean?
Well, because you're like, you think it's okay to bring it home, but but it's getting tossed one way or the other.
No. If you can repurpose it into a meal, then it's not getting tossed. You're gonna like eat it. It's gonna be good. Or like maybe your partner likes it, or maybe
but
maybe it's better the next day.
What if none of those things are true? What if it's just disgusting?
Then you leave it there.
Interesting.
Well, okay. Whose feelings are you hurting?
I don't know.
The waiter?
The restaurant?
The restaurant doesn't have feelings.
Well, okay. What if it's like a small, like family-run restaurant? Does that? And maybe you have a cold, dark heart, so it doesn't change your mind at all.
And they all come out and like ask you, "Did you enjoy your meal?"
It's not like a McDonald's or a Chili's or something where they just could not.
Where the food
less.
is always excellent.
I mean,
that's what I meant. Never have this problem.
That's what I meant.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I don't think I care. I think.
Because I guess you could.
You could also lie, right? You could be like, "Oh no, we're going to a show after."
But why is that better?
I don't know.
Why is that better than just taking it and throwing it away when you're out of sight?
I'll tell you why it's better. It's better because then they just take the food and like scrape it off the plate and throw it away instead of putting it in a box that then you have to throw the box away too.
Okay, all right. I will buy that. I will buy the garbage argument.
Right. The garbage argument is a good one.
Uh-huh.
Also, like maybe you've got a dog or something and the dog can like have a bite of it. Dog's not going to say no.
No, the dog argument I don't.
Okay, the dog argument is bad. You're right. Well, okay, so what you're saying that you will always take the box.
Yeah, I'll just take it home and then just throw it away.
But why do you do that? You don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Have you ever hurt someone's feelings?
That is how much I do.
Is there an original sin here or not?
No. That is how much I like have trained myself to avoid confrontation.
Right.
Is that I'm just like, I'll just take this home. I'll just throw it away. I don't want to have this. I don't want to have the conversation of them being like, well, did you not like it? Nobody ever asks that.
No one will ever ask that.
No.
And also like if they say like, oh, did you not like it? Be like, I wasn't feeling it. Like, that's
sure. Or yeah, I mean, then I just feel like I'm like lies upon lies because I could totally just say, oh, like I'm not from around here. I don't have anywhere to store it. Oh, I'm traveling tomorrow.
I don't see what the problem is with lying to people. I think that's fine. Speaking of lying to people, my copy of Sonic Forces, would you like to pretend that it's yours under fraudulent circumstances, just claiming that it belongs to you when in reality it still belongs to me? Would you like to borrow it? Is my question. You can. All you gotta do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
At gmail.com.
and give us a mailing address that is not a lie, where I can mail my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want, which could be zero amount of time. Also, you could lie about how long you want to play it. We don't care. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. I pay for postage both ways. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there, which that I guess is a form of lying, right? Because it's in a Sonic Forces box.
Yeah.
Mark, and you're a party to this program, so you're a part of that lie. How does that make you feel?
Oof, I'm really struggling internally, but I know that the Sonic Forces borrowing program is a perfect program,
That's
so
right.
I keep my faith in that. I'm also liking to imagine a scenario where somebody signs up for the Sonic Forces borrowing program because they've told all their friends that they have a copy of Sonic Forces,
Right.
and their friends are, like coming over, and so they're like anxiously
Right.
awaiting your email because
People putting off inviting their friends over for 2.5 years because the list is so long.
finally it shows up, and then they can invite their friends over,
Right.
and show them your copy of Sonic Forces.
Have you been watching the rehearsal?
I haven't. No.
One of the first episodes is about a guy who has been telling his friends that he plays like bar trivia with that he has a master's degree, but he doesn't have a master's degree, and so the rehearsal is him confessing to his friend that he doesn't have this master's degree. And that's exactly what this is. What the scenario? It's the same scenario.
Same scenario.
Yeah.
Patrick, I cannot not take home food I don't like. So you think I can stomach the rehearsal? Give me hives.
Okay, we're very similar in a lot of ways. I love the rehearsal.
Makes me too uncomfortable. No, thank you.
Anyway, sign up for the Sonic Forces borrowing program.
Here's another thing you can do. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We appreciate it so much when people review us, rate us, share the show in any way that you can. If you rate us on the US Apple Podcast Store, we can see it and we will give you a shout out on the show. If you review us anywhere else, we can't see it, but we still want to acknowledge it. So please send us an email, hit us up on Twitter, let us know. Reviews really help people find the show. It boosts our ranking on like different podcast apps. Patrick and I love reading them. So thank you so much to everybody who has written us.
Yes. And also you should get in our Discord, because that is a fun place where people are having nice conversations about Nintendo all the time. People are getting together to play games together. With Splatoon 3 coming out, I'm sure we're going to be partying up on there. With the new Mario Kart tracks, people playing on there. It's a good time. So get in there. You can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Or hit us up on Twitter and ask for an invite, and we will happily guide you into the Discord.
And finally, we are going to, in just a few weeks, we're going to be ranking the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks, the contiguous 48, the original 48.
That's right.
But we can't do it alone. We need your help.
Here's the thing. We refuse to do it alone.
That's right. It's not that we can't.
Right. Also, we can't, but we refuse to even try.
That's right. So we would love for you to write in with your favorite tracks, your least favorite tracks, just little details within tracks that you like, that make a track special to you. But help us form our opinions about the 48 contiguous Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks. But do it by August 19th. That is the deadline.
That is this Friday.
Just a few precious days away at this point.
So you can hit us up on Twitter. You can email us. You can express this in the Discord. I just created a sub-channel now for a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track discussion. So get in there. I want everyone's opinion.
Yeah, and thank you so much to everybody who has written in or participated in some form or another. I think it's going to be a really fun episode.
I think it's going to be 2 really fun episodes. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
I, of course, have been playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Going through,
cramming
refreshing.
a little?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Refreshing my memory.
Yeah.
Some tracks, honestly, that I thought I remembered not liking, I have a higher esteem for now. Some tracks that I was really high on, I'm a little more neutral.
Oh.
So it's been interesting to go back.
Are you taking notes?
I am actually taking notes.
Whoa, I got to step up my game.
No, I've just been going track by track. And I was initially playing them not online, but just in like the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But I started doing it, and this is my recommendation to you if you
Yes.
do this exercise, is to play it in time trials, because without the chaos of all like the items and all the other drivers, it's a lot easier to focus on the tracks
Everything
themselves.
that's there. Yeah.
And so
I mean, I end up playing so much Mario Kart in 2-player local because Sarah and I like to play together. But you see so much more of the track when you're playing it all by yourself, right? Like then you also get the whole thing at 60 frames per second, and just have a wider field of view. So maybe I should spend some time doing that too. Really like get a sense for what's going on. Also, like engage the time trial mode for the first time ever.
So in time trial mode, you can play against ghosts of that people have uploaded online, and there's one person on the Excite Bike track that I have spent so much time trying to beat because they're on a bike and I just cannot figure out how they're doing what they're doing.
Right. Well, is it? Well, so this is odd, right? Because Excite Bike is different every time. Like it randomly shuffles the hazards on the track.
Does it?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's
maybe
never the same layout. So like
I don't think that's true in time trials, at least.
Well, so that was my question is
Yeah.
what is it that does in time trials, does it just like pick one and like lay it out?
It must.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Because I have driven that track. Oh, and maybe it's different from Ghost to Ghost. I guess that could be true as well.
Space Ghost. Ghost to Ghost.
But I think that everybody in Excite Bike, whenever you're playing that in time trials, it's always the same track.
I didn't even have a joke there. I just said Space Ghost, Ghost to Ghost.
It's fun to remember.
It is fun to remember things.
Yeah, this week was a little bit of a grab bag for me. So I also, last week we talked about I haven't played the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. Of course, it's free if you're a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack subscriber, which I am. And so a couple of people on the Discord were recommending that I check it out. My big worry going into the Octo expansion, what I had heard about it is that it's like really difficult. And I was not excited for that. And I'm here to tell you, it is, for me, way too difficult.
Isn't it tough?
I find it really hard.
There, like, you can usually get to the end of the challenges, but then you're like, oh, I scored terribly. Like, I technically made it through, but, like, you need to do well enough to, like, get the... it's been years since I played it, but, like, enough points to, like, get medallions or whatever it is.
Yeah, so basically the way it works is that you have like a number of points at the beginning. It starts off with like 1,500 or something like that. And each of these challenges, they cost a certain amount of points. And so every time you attempt it, it's like 200 of these points, 500 of these points, whatever the challenge is. And then the challenge is like a really restrictive, usually like obstacle course. So one of them was you have a tiny amount of ink and you have to make it to the end of the obstacle course by like doing that. And then at the end, if you're successful, you get this little like cake that almost looks like one of those erasers you would get in school that are like in the shape of something. And it unlocks another like station in the subway line that you're doing, or just like the next challenge. And there's like 4, I can't remember what they're called, but like bigger things that you're trying to get that are scattered throughout the subway station. So you have to unlock a lot of them. And the framing device is fun. Some of the challenges are fun, but some of them are just like too hard for me.
Yeah, just like too technical, right? Especially if you can't like grind on them to just like, because it costs you points every time you attempt it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that I'm not skilled enough to do it. And so I really quickly ran into a wall. And if you fail like 2 times, they'll let you skip it. But that doesn't really feel that fun to me either.
No, to fail and then skip.
So I think Octo expansion, cool, but not for me, is where I'm putting that.
Very good. And we'll have a new Splatoon game shortly. For you
Exactly.
To play, so,
Exactly. How far into, I mean, you said it's been a couple of years, but, I am getting caught up on like the single player story of Splatoon before the 3rd one. And does Octo expansion play into that at all? Because it almost feels... So far, it feels like separate from the other stuff that's going on.
I mean, if you ask me what the stories of any of the Splatoon games
that's
are,
super fair.
It's I don't know them. Yeah. Like someone or something is missing and or in danger, and you fight like tentacles with faces on them. Like that's the most of it that I can remember.
Fair enough.
I think it's not that I don't care for the lore in Splatoon. Well, maybe that is what it is. That like I don't really care about the lore. I just like the world, right? Like as an aesthetic exercise, I think it's awesome. And with like the mysterious like where are the humans? What happened to the world is an interesting question. I don't really care about the answer.
Yeah, I am with you. I think the lore of Splatoon I'm super interested in. The plot is
Yeah.
not of the single player campaigns has
like-
not been like super
It's
interesting.
like a reverse Game of Thrones. Where the lore, you're like, yeah, Children of the Forest, whatever.
Right.
Who cares? I want to get back to Ned Stark. He's
Yeah.
a good man.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next game.
Yeah.
'Cause I really-
By the way, I haven't played anything this
Yeah,
week,
yeah,
so
that's
I love
fine.
this. Thank you.
I'm just gonna filibuster the
Yes.
what are you playing segment.
And when you are done, it will come to a vote.
So I played that for a little bit this weekend, but I realized I hadn't finished Portal. So I went back and finished Portal, which again, with like my entire playthrough with Portal, don't really know what more needs to be said about it other than I really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
And I still want you and I to play through the co-op in Portal 2. I think that'd be super fun.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do that this weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. That boss fight at the end of Portal is so fun and funny and like, yeah, I don't know. It's the weird little things that the various cores say as you're like dragging them to the furnace to like throw them in there and burn them up. Amazing.
And it's also just a really like it feels like a great summation of the game. Like everything you've kind of like learned about the physics of Portal are put to good use there. Yeah, so I thought that was a lot of fun and am excited to play Portal 2. Okay, so I went back to Live Alive.
Live Alive!
Because I am close to finishing it. I'm in the final chapter, but I hadn't made any forward progress. And I don't know that I'm going to, because I got back into it.
This was my fear, was that you weren't going to dig the final section of the game.
And based on like your experience with it, I would love to experience it, but I cannot get past the grindy nature of the random encounters.
Yes.
It's just too much for me. Like I have reached my limit with that mechanic in the game, and so it's just like I don't know that I'm ever going to do this.
Yeah.
The one thing I am kind of curious to do is my understanding is there's multiple endings you can get within the final chapter, but if you choose one specific character, your experience is very different from the other ones.
Yeah, so there are, my understanding again, is that there are 5 different endings, and you can get 3 of them by the thing where you select any of the characters from the first 7 chapters to lead you through to the end. And the difference in like those 3 endings that you can access there is like right at the very end of the game, like you die fighting the boss, you survive fighting the boss, and you murder him, or you die fighting the boss and you spare him. And so those are like the 3 endings, all requiring you to like get to the boss and be fighting him. But yeah, it's those other 2 endings that are sort of led from another perspective that I'm very interested in and I haven't gone back to yet.
And so that's the one that I might do, because my understanding is that it's a very different experience and a lot shorter. And so that was once I finished that character's chapter, I was like, oh, I am super interested to see what happens next.
Yeah.
And like I want to follow that character, and so maybe I'll play that one, but the regular ending, I just don't have the patience for it right now.
We're being so good about not dropping spoilers here. I think we're doing a really good job.
Well,
we're talking about it.
We know that there are a few people who listen to the show that are playing and are members of the Discord who are playing it right now. So don't want to give too much away.
That's right.
But yeah, I don't.
If you would like to listen to us give too much away, go listen to the episode of the Geekverse Side Quest podcast that we were just on. We talked all about Live Alive from beginning to end, chapter by chapter, everything that's there.
And then finally, last week on YouTube, Nintendo posted maybe the Kirby channel, I can't remember, the Kirby 30th anniversary live concert that was held in Japan. And it's difficult for me to express how much joy this brought me at the end of a like kind of difficult week. It made me feel so good. It's extremely adorable. The musicians are amazing. It is so much fun to hear some of this Kirby music like fully orchestrated, especially from like older games. The voice of Kirby comes out and she like says a few things, and then I think she sings the song from Kirby and the Forgotten Land at the very end. It's just like
The one that's like the Perfect Strangers theme?
yeah, exactly. They gave everybody, and it's this enormous auditorium. They gave
Yeah.
everybody in attendance these like glow sticks, and they'll do these camera views where they are like everybody's moving it in rhythm to the music. There's like kids there. It just seems like it's such a delightful experience. It brought me so much joy. It is a great thing to just put on in the background. It's long. It's maybe like an hour and a half, and there are a lot of segments where people are just speaking in Japanese that you can like skip through.
Right.
But the music itself and just
Or
like
listen patiently
or
and
listen
respectfully.
patiently, yeah. But it just seemed like so much fun, and I'm really glad that they posted it on YouTube. I would recommend people check it out. And I think the last time they did one, like the 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary or something, it was
This is the one where KK Slider opened for him?
No, that was I think
Or that was a
that was the
Splatoon
Splatoon
concert.
2
Yeah,
concert.
yeah.
But I think they only keep them up for like a year or so. So it won't be around on YouTube, or at least in this original upload
Oh.
forever. But it's worth checking out, definitely.
I haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet. All I saw was one clip that was being like passed around Twitter, where the voice of Kirby says some Kirby things, and then the voice of DDD like does a little like wow, wow, and like makes some DDD noises. And the clip was accompanied by the person who posted it being like, "Oh my God, that sound just came out of his mouth," and it seemed like a really normal sound to come out of like a human being's mouth. Like it didn't seem that strange to me. I was like, and I went through like the comments to be like, is everyone like, this is incredible? And everyone was like, this is incredible. And I was like, what am I missing? Like it didn't, like sometimes you'll see a voice actor like do the voice of the kid. Like you see Dan Castellaneta do Homer, and it's like, wow, that's transformational. Like how is he doing that? Or like Nancy Cartwright doing Bart, or Tom Kenny doing SpongeBob, or whatever. And it's just like, this wasn't that. I like it. I was baffled. I mean, great for everyone. I didn't get it.
Oh, one more thing I'll say about it is normally when I watch anything on YouTube that has a live chat, I will close it immediately.
Smart.
But with this, they have a live chat. A lot of it is in Japanese. Some of it is in English, but it is so wholesome
Oh.
and adorable that it's such a great experience. I cannot recommend the Kirby 30th anniversary concert enough.
That's nice that the like toxicity of like all fandoms hasn't reached Kirby.
No, seemingly people were just delighted that it was existing. Like when a theme from a specific game would come up, like the chat would just go crazy.
Canvas curse!
Exactly. When Squeak Squad showed up, people lost their minds.
Right.
It's just so good. Can't recommend it enough.
I gotta say, I don't think there was any piece of music defended as vigorously as the tracks from Squeak Squad that were emailed to us when we did our
That's
Nintendo
right.
music tournament. Yeah, and like this was pre-Kirby month for us, so we didn't know anything. And we're like, okay, this guy really likes Squeak Squad. I don't know. And I still can't say that I get it, but I get it now. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it.
All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Got a few things of interest this week.
Yeah, Thursday is seemingly when everything that was introduced in an Indie World Showcase is all dropping at the same time.
But first, today, Blossom Tales 2, The Minotaur Prince, is released on the Switch eShop. And Patrick, you played the first game and liked it.
I did. I liked the first game a lot. It was sort of a Link's Awakening by way of but with more of a Super Nintendo kind of feel to it. Not Link to the Past, I understand, but like it felt more like Link's Awakening. But it was very cool in that it was all presented as a storybook, right? Or as a story that like a grandfather is telling his grandkids. So details of the story would change based on like their requests. So like it'd be like, oh, and then she was attacked by an alligator, and one of the kids is like, oh no, that's too scary, and the grandpa's like, oh, well, what's not scary? And they're like, puppy, and it's like, okay, and then you have to like fight a puppy. So like it's really cute, adorable stuff. If it's anything like the first one, then I'm totally in.
And then on Wednesday, August 17th, Kirby's Dream Buffet
oh my God,
is released. And I'm excited for this one. There was a trailer last week with the release date, and it just looks like it could be a lot of fun.
And looks very much like it is 4-player Kirby Fall Guys, right? Like, and Fall Guys is a fun like game concept. and I liked what I played of it, but just kind of like drifted away from it, partially because it was on like the machine I don't play all the time. And I think Kirby's Dream Buffet is going to be a lot of fun to mess around with.
Yeah, $15.
Mhm.
It seems like you can play with friends online, but it's
Ooh, I would
still
hope
seems like
so.
entirely.
I would hope that it's kind of easy to party up. But great point. There's no proof of that yet.
Yeah, I can't remember if they said that in the trailer or not, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks like it'll be really cute.
Right. And just again to underline that, unlike Fall Guys, it's not the like 35 players or whatever it is. It's 4 human players and then like a bunch of CPU controlled Waddle Dees.
And I don't
on
even
these
know
obstacle
I don't even
courses.
know if those Waddle Dees like are anything more than just obstacles,
Sure. Yeah. Like
because it
if
looks
they're
like it is.
competing for
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it looks like it is just the curb, like those
Yeah, that's a
4
good point.
Kirby's
That's a good point.
that are like competing. But it looks fun. It looks
Mhm.
cute. And then, like you said, Thursday we're getting 3 games that were featured in Indie World Showcase. I remember. So We Are OFK is one of them. It's like
Yep.
the story-based game that is about a fictional / real band. Real for this game.
Don't ask us to
we
explain.
think, yeah.
We don't know.
In downtown LA, like
Mhm.
music scene, like that sort of thing, which we saw it at Indie World Showcase. And then the other 2, you're gonna have to remind me.
Sure. So there's RPG Time: The Legend of White, or The Legend of Right, which was the one where it's like an RPG scrawled in like the pages of a notebook, and every time you turn the page, it's like a different game style. So that's kind of cool. And then Cursed to Golf was a golf game, like a side-scrolling fantasy golf game with. I mean, I guess that's basically it. It's a side-scrolling like fantasy golf game.
Awesome. And then on Friday, we just got word that Wave Race 64 is being added to the Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online in North America, anyways.
Mhm.
Which I honestly have not really played this game before. I remember dabbling with it, but
Dude.
we never owned it.
Dude, I
Yeah.
love Wave Race 64. I mean, it was probably the second game that I got for this. Like, I'm just trying to think now. Like, obviously Mario 64 was first, and then I think probably Wave Race 64 was
Not Pilot Wing 64?
no. Well, you know the story.
I
when
do know the
yes,
story, yeah.
that they tried to sell me Pilot Wing 64 at Target on the first day that the Nintendo 64 was available, and I was like, open the other box. You have Mario 64. You simply must. But yeah, it's I was recently talking to a friend of the show, Connor McCabe, about when is Donkey Kong 64 going to come to this service, and I was like, they've got a lot of the heavy hitters out there already. Like, it could be coming up. It could be. But I forgot, like, we still got Wave Race 64. We still got Pilot Wing 64. I think there's probably a lot of, not that these are bad games, but just like not immediately exciting games that will come before Donkey Kong.
Do you know what I'm hoping we get is that the Castlevania game for 64?
Ooh, you
Because
think so?
I would be interested. Like, I know it has a mixed reputation.
I think it's mostly a bad reputation. I think mixed is being generous.
But I've never played it, and I would be really curious to play it.
I remember renting it one weekend and being so disappointed with it.
Yeah, because now, like, when it's on one of these services, it feels like the stakes are so low.
Yeah.
That it would be cool curiosity. But I'm excited for Wave Race 64. I know it mostly from its soundtrack. It has like a really cool
Ripping soundtrack, yeah.
similar to like the Pilot Wings kind of like energetic jazz thing going for it.
Yeah, I mean it's like that mixed with like extreme sports kind of, right? Like there's a little bit of a like distorted edge to it, or like a little bit of a punk rock kind of thing to it. It did a very little bit of a punk rock thing to it. But yeah, I love Wave Race 64. They're just watching the little trailer that came with the tweet today. First of all, was reminded of that excellent score, and then just like the different game modes, right? That there are like races around these like watery areas where the water is like raising and lowering, and so you have access to different paths and like shortcuts and stuff. But also there's just like a free what do you call it? I was free drive, free swim, free whatever it is. You're riding around and like doing tricks and stuff, and scoring points by like doing flips and like riding on the like wrong side of the of the thing, and like it just like I could feel my fingers like tightening up to like push the buttons I would need to push to do those tricks. And it's just like, oh man, like this is going to be a time travel experience for me. Like I'm going to be catapulted back to 1996 playing this game. I'm so excited.
Also cool that they have kept up the monthly cadence. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Every month there's been something.
I was trying to remember what July's was. Oh, it was
Pokemon
Puzzle League.
Yeah, and then Pokemon Snap the month before.
That's right. So yeah,
and then
also,
Majora's Mask before that. Like they're doing like they're adding good stuff.
And fun that they're keeping up with the monthly releases.
It would be nice if they could drop 2 at a time.
I think Donkey Kong 64 is going to be towards the end. I think they know, you know, that it's like a biggie, and I think we'll wait a while.
Do you think there's ever a world where we get Diddy Kong Racing? Or is there too much rare in that?
Because that's actually a good question.
Banjo's a character and Conker is a character.
Maybe when we get DS games in some form, that they'll get
the DS version of it.
We get the DS version because they removed a lot of that, right?
They removed all of it, but they also added these like weird touchscreen like start mechanics that would not be that. I mean,
I don't know. So maybe no. But also, I guess I feel like
also maybe
never say never,
because Banjo is on the service,
right?
I don't expect to see like Banjo Tooie or
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
But man, that would be cool. It would be so cool if those were on there.
Yeah.
Especially Conker. I never played Conker.
I've never played it either.
I never played Banjo Tooie either, but it's just another Banjo game. So, all right, Mark, those are the new releases. Let's close this segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers did not play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, we got nowhere in this conversation about ranking the rides at Disney's California Adventure. So I think we just need to pick that up where we left off.
Okay, you're right. No job left undone.
That's right. So what we were doing was just kind of going through them and giving them a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs neutral if I either didn't feel very much about it or didn't know it at all.
Right. And I know last time we didn't make it that far, and so we're trying to be really on topic here. But I feel like for people who didn't last week, I'm just going to quickly run us down the rides that we already talked about.
Right.
So Red Car Trolley, thumbs up.
2 thumbs up, yep.
Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the rescue.
Neutral and up.
Grizzly River Run.
Up and up.
Soarin' Around the World.
Up and up.
Goofy Sky School.
Neutral and down.
Silly Symphony Swings.
Up and up.
Jumpin' Jellyfish.
Down and down.
Jellyfish. Golden. Is it?
Zephyr.
How would you? Zephyr.
Yeah.
Zephyr.
Like that Red Hot Chili Pepper song.
Oh, sure. Down and down.
Down and down.
The Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure.
Up and up, even though it ends too abruptly.
Radiator Springs Racer.
Up and up.
Luigi's Rock and Roll.
I gave it neutral. You gave it up.
Rollickin' Roadsters. Rollickin' Roadsters.
Rollickin' Roadsters.
And then, okay, that brings us to new attractions. Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
So, again, this must be another one in
Cars
Land.
Uh-huh.
I don't much care for Mater, but I don't know this ride.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of those, imagine it like teacups.
Okay.
But there's 3 different turntables, and your car is going from turntable to turntable.
Oh.
And so it kind of mixes you up that way. But then you're on this pivot point at the end of a tractor, so when you're making a turn, it kind of like whips you around.
Oh.
So it's actually, I'm going to give this
I'm
one
going to give it an up.
Yeah.
I've never been on this ride, but let's give it an up.
Okay.
There's a teacups ride at Six Flags Great America that's called Chabasco. I don't know why it's called that.
I love that. Wait, isn't that what? Oh darn! I can't recall the character's name. Sheldon. Is that? This was the joke. I was going to say, isn't that Sheldon's catchphrase?
Oh, is Chabasco? What does he actually say?
A bazinga. Pixar Pal Around. This is a confusingly named ride because Pixar Pier is a mess. I said it. It has it's a big Ferris wheel with Mickey Mouse on the front because...
Does it still have Mickey Mouse on the front?
Yeah, but it's pix.
That's
but,
a mistake.
Yes,
who should be there? Let's plus it up. I'm giving it a thumbs down, but let's plus it up here. I mean, who is the Pixar? I mean, I guess it's what, Luxo, the lamp?
Yeah, I guess.
That's no good.
No. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why I guess they didn't even bother to try to solve it. But one thing I like about this is it is a Ferris wheel, but it has within every other car is on a track, so it like swings and rolls freely as you're going around. So it gives it a little bit more of a thrill factor. There hasn't been one of those for like 100 years before they built this. So I'm going to give it an up, even though it is poorly and confusingly named.
Okay, I've still given it a down.
And
that may be our first down up, by the way.
I think it might be. So up next is the Incredicoaster, which used to be California Screamin'. It's a great roller coaster, but has like a really fun launch at the beginning. The whole thing is great, but they made it Incredibles themed, and don't try to tell a story on a roller coaster. It doesn't work. It's confusing.
Oh, I think they do a good job. I think it's a more effective story than any of the versions of Space Mountain.
Well, yeah, because they're not trying to. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
they do in like Ghost Galaxy, which
and
is
in Hyperspace Mountain. Yeah,
Mountain. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
do two different stories.
I'm still giving it an up because
okay, good. Because it's just
a great
good
coaster.
Yeah.
Jesse's Critter Carousel. Neutral. Like I really have no.
It's a carousel.
It's just a carousel.
Yeah, neutral.
I have no opinion.
I'm never gonna ride it, but like I get why it's there.
Yeah, Toy Story Midway Mania.
I don't care for these kinds of rides where like you got to shoot stuff.
I
think
like this one is
someone
kind of
in your party is competitive.
Do
you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah. So is that a down from you?
It's a neutral. It's a neutral for me.
Okay.
And an up for you.
Yeah, that's an up for me. Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind.
I don't know what that is.
There's no reason you should.
Yeah.
Do you remember like before they built Avengers Campus, there was a Bugs Land?
Okay.
And it had a bunch of like kids rides.
Yeah.
And this is one of those that they just moved to Paradise Pier when the Avengers moved in. So you sit in like little.
When the Avengers moved in.
So you sit on like
Scott Lang just like moving a couch in.
little baskets, and just brings you up in a circle and spins you around. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to give it an up.
Let's go up.
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
I give this a solid up. Sarah cannot deal with it.
I love it.
It's too aggressive.
I was sad when we lost like the Twilight Zone thing,
too.
but I think the game is more fun. Oh no! I can't believe.
God.
Well, all right, we're gonna muscle through because I've never been on this one, so it'll be short. Web Slingers: A Spider-Man Adventure.
Yeah, I don't know. Neutral. All right, great. So we're never going to get to ranking these things, but we were accompanied today by an ensemble at the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix, Arizona. Mark, let's get into the news. Go ahead.
Ooh, that was a good one. So last week, of course, was the big Splatoon 3 blowout. But even after all of that, 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated information, there is yet more to know about Splatoon 3.
After the ink had settled.
That's right.
They dried. The ink had dried.
The ink had dried. They
maybe too far away from the original saying to be intuitive what I'm doing.
They posted. There's a new Splatoon 3 website that has a ton more detail. And so these are some of the highlights, I think, from that new information. If you have Splatoon 2 save data, when you start up Splatoon 3, you get some bonuses. So you get 3 gold Sheldon licenses.
And those are different from young Sheldon licenses?
That's right.
Chabasco.
To help you access weapons earlier, regardless of your player level.
Okay, that's fun.
Anarchy battles are available immediately. You don't have to level up to unlock them. You start with a higher rank, depending on your level in Splatoon 2. It's not clear to me if it's a 1-for-1.
Jeez, I hope it's
or
not.
If there's just some sort of like tier system.
Because there are some people that are in that like, me playing Tetris 99 level, right? Like,
oh, that's true.
People at scary high levels, and I want those people to be knocked back down with the rest of us plebes.
Well, do you? Because
no
matchmaking. If you have Splatoon 2 save data, matchmaking will place you with players of a similar level from Splatoon 2. So I think we do want those people to live in their own world and just like fight amongst each other.
Yeah,
and leave me to my own devices.
Yeah. So
that's
neat. I like the sort of continuity here because there wasn't really any. How could there be from Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2? It's nice that they're sort of like keeping that alive.
I like
here.
it too, and I like it that like if you've played Splatoon 2, they don't really. It seems like a little bit of like not having to ease you into Splatoon 3. It's like, sure, go do ranked battles.
Yeah,
like
you know what
you know
Splatoon
the
is.
mechanics. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a smart decision.
Well, and all those game types that are in the Anarchy battles are all types that have been in Splatoon 2 before. So like you don't need an introduction to any of this stuff. Like you can just hit the ground running.
Yeah. Also, online Splatoon 3 data, like your player level and gear, works with the Nintendo Switch Online's Save Data Cloud backup feature. So this is new. Splatoon
That's
2
huge.
did not do this.
That's huge.
This is all your information, like your play information is now can be stored in the cloud if you're a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, which means it opens up the possibility for you to play Splatoon 3 on multiple Switches if you have multiple Switches.
Right. Or even if you lose a Switch or
That's
it gets
right.
broken or something, that you can carry your progress forward. And I like that they have gotten over whatever the hang up was of like, you don't want there to be like an unfair competitive advantage for people that like cheat the system, which like, I kind of get that, but also like if someone levels up in a way that like doesn't actually match their skill, it doesn't really matter. Like they just have access to more weapons, not necessarily better weapons, right?
Yeah, right. I also wonder if maybe whatever loophole they were worried about, they were able to close.
They patched it up?
Or something like
Yeah,
that. I don't know. Also, we were a little bit confused about grouping with friends. I found the direct, what they were talking about in it, a little bit confusing.
Yes. You know, we don't even need to qualify it. Like it was confusing. They seemingly expressed the same thing 3 times, 3 different ways, as though it was 3 different features.
But
Are they?
But the website, I think, is pretty clarifying.
Okay.
So they talk about 2 methods for grouping with friends being available at launch. So the first one is that someone creates a group that other players can join. So it's pretty standard.
Mhm.
You open up a room and up to 4 of your friends can join it, and you will end up on the same team.
Which is
if you
good.
join this way. Yep.
Which was not always the case in Splatoon 2, that you could party up with your friends and then go out into the world, and you're sort of random whether you're going to be on a team with your friends or not.
And is only true seemingly in Splatoon 3 if you do it that way.
Okay.
One kind of nice thing about this is up to 4 like friends can join, but if you only have 3 of you or 2 of you, then they'll just put in 2 random people into the group. So you're still able to play if you don't have the full squad of 4. The second way of grouping with friends is if you're playing, Patrick,
Mhm.
and I see your ghost in like the waiting area in the test range, I see your ghost and I can join your group. Like I can join your like match or whatever you want to call it, but I won't be able to play until somebody drops out. So, but in this version, I'm not guaranteed to be on your team. So I'm like observing your experience,
yes.
and somebody from your opposing team drops out, I'll probably just get put on that team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So those are seemingly the 2 ones that will be available at launch.
That is clarifying and like helpful, and like I like the distinction there that you have a little bit of agency in as to whether you are just like kind of joining up passively as like, well, whatever, as long as we're like sort of in the same experience together, it'll be okay, versus like we're on the same team, we're going out here to do this together.
Yeah. And then a third way will be coming in a future update, which allows for keywords. And basically you create, or somebody creates a keyword. So like our show could have the keyword NCS or Nin Kart Society or whatever. And you enter that keyword into like the kiosk, and you are able to interact with everybody else who has entered that same keyword.
Oh, cool.
And they are saying that if too many people have that keyword, like are using that keyword, you won't be guaranteed to see all of them.
Sure.
Because it'll probably have to be broken up onto different servers. But I think that's such a fun way to manage community, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, I don't necessarily have all the friend code of people who share a similar interest or in the Star Wars Discord I'm in.
Right.
But
you can just do like Star Wars. Yeah, it's a way of like exploring. It's using metadata basically, right? It's a hashtag. That's very cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun idea. So that will be something that will be fun for us to do as a community. League battles will have special modes sometimes. That's all it says.
Okay.
No details.
All right.
But
Gotta say, there is something we complained a little bit last week about how like the in-universe voice of everything around Splatoon 3 sometimes makes it hard to like parse what things mean. But the like infrequency of things happening or things happening like sometimes, I'm never gonna get sick of that. Like it's so cryptic. I love it.
like, what is it called? Big wave?
Big or big run.
Something like
something
that.
like
But
that.
in the new salmon run mode where they
Yeah.
invade the city, but it just happens sometimes. Maybe a couple months.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I love
It is fun. We got a little more details on the mechanics exactly of how Splatfests work. So Splatfests are, of course, different this year. They are 48 hours, or this game, they're 48 hours instead of the previous 24. They have this new tricolor turf war. But yeah, just some additional details here. So
Were they only 24 hours
they
before?
were before, yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought they were all weekend.
So Splatfest Sneak Peek is a new thing. So once Splatfests are announced, between then and the Splatfest actually starting, this sneak peek is happening. So you choose your team, and before the Splatfest begins, you are competing in turf wars, and you can earn conch shells by playing. And how many like conch shells a team wins during the sneak peek contributes to
their
the final
overall
winner.
standing? Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
That's interesting. I do remember that you were picking your team like a week in advance before, so you could like get the shirt or whatever. So yeah, that's cool.
That's a fun addition. So again, Splatfests are 48 hours now, and they're divided into 2 days. So the first day is all turf war, so just regular turf war, where it's team competing against team. And then the second day, after they kind of announce the midway results, is the tricolor turf war, where all three teams are competing against each other. And that wasn't super clear to me because it wasn't clear if like the winning team or the team that's in the lead right now, there's 4 of them and they're in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
And then the two other teams, there's 2 people from each that are on the opposite sides of the map. And it wasn't clear if they were both ganging up against that like team in the lead, but they're not. It's every team for itself.
Yeah. So it is still like 2 on 2 on 4.
It is, yeah.
So like the team in first place has like some kind of advantage, but they have the disadvantage of being placed like in the middle of the map from the start. So like it has got to be harder to like figure out which way to move. But like if you're, I don't know, if you're united against 2 players, like they're gonna crush them, right?
Right. Yeah,
it'll be very interesting to see how that dynamic plays out.
And then finally, we have more details on how the winner is calculated for Splatfest. So the team that gets the most votes gets 10 points. The team that has the most conch shells during Sneak Peek gets 10 points. Individual clout from Splatfest battles, the open ones, and Tricolor Turf War are worth 15 points. And then individual clout from the pro Splatfest battles are 10 points.
What does individual clout mean?
I think it just means, you know how like when you're playing in these matches, and in Splatoon 2, you know, you have a level within the Splatfest, right?
Yes,
you're
yes.
like Splatfest.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, you know, like Queen or like whatever.
Right,
you're, like,
that you would be like
leveling up.
a peanut butter king or whatever.
So I think it's those points are considered clout, but I could be wrong. And if somebody can correct me, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. That's interesting to see like another like dimension of this sort of being laid in.
Especially because I don't know that I could ever really tell you exactly how the Splatfest and
Oh,
Splatoon
no.
2 were
No, definitely
determined.
not. I mean, I'm still not really sure what the difference between Splatfest Battle Open and Splatfest Battle Pro. What's that? What is that?
Aren't they
Pro just the higher level players?
I think they're 2 different types of 2 different like options, aren't they?
Yeah, but what's the difference?
Yeah, maybe just higher level
I
players.
don't know.
Salmon Run is also getting some updates. We talked about last week. The Salmon Run now will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no longer locked behind a specific schedule. But they didn't talk about this in the direct, but Grizzco has its own test range lobby as well. So Salmon Run has its own lobby like Turf War does.
Oh,
so
that's great.
So you can see
That's
ghosts
great.
and like all that kind of stuff. Matchmaking seemingly works very similar.
I gotta say, it's a little disappointing that there's no like common lobby between them that you could like hop into it and be like, oh, I can see that these people are playing Salmon Run, these people are playing Turf War, and like decide what you want to do based on that. But this is still cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that they're including that for both uh, types of combat. Fish scales are a new currency earned by damaging the king salmonid in the extra wave.
Mm.
So they talked about in the direct, there's this new fourth wave that can sometimes happen in Salmon
Sometimes.
Run.
I love it.
Exactly, another that it triggers, and there's this new giant salmonid that you are just trying to do damage to. And the
And
more
you attack it with eggs. Yeah.
and so the more damage you do, seemingly, the more fish scales you can earn, and you can exchange these fish scales for splash tag designs, for items for your locker, but also new outfits in Salmon Run. So you can customize your outfit, which you couldn't do before.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like how Breath of the Wild this is. Like it's turning the king salmonids into the dragons from Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yes.
Where you're just kind of chiseling off like a little bit of their horn so you can make like better boots or something. This is very cool.
Also, one thing that wasn't clear in the direct, but is good to know, is that if you fail the extra wave, you don't lose. So once you get past wave 3, it's a success, and this king salmonid is just bonus.
Yeah.
So, which is really nice, because it wasn't clear to me if it's like, oh, if you get this extra wave, like,
Right.
do you lose if you
Yeah, no.
defeat it?
The thing that makes that extra nice is that like it means it's only exciting when the boss salmonid shows up, right? When the king salmonid shows
Right,
up.
you have nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose and everything to gain fighting a giant fish monster.
Yep. So that's everything about Splatoon 3. Again, like the more I learn about the game, the more excited I am to really dig into it.
Yeah, I mean it's only a couple weeks away at this point. September 9th. My God, it's so soon.
Uh-huh.
It's 4 weeks away.
Yep.
Great.
Monday afternoon in Japan, a fire broke out at Nintendo's headquarters in Kyoto. Employees extinguished the flames, but fire trucks were sent to the scene. Some desks and chairs in a room on the 3rd floor were reportedly burned, but all employees were safe. The cause is still under investigation, but it's thought to have been started by a device that was charging.
Here's what I think happened. I think, remember how there are those stories about the guys that were making Star Fox, and like Miyamoto would like visit them and just be like smoking like a chimney? I think that's always happening.
You think Miyamoto hasn't quit?
I think he hasn't quit. I think he just has to go into different places to like sneak a smoke. Started a fire, and it's like, I don't know, something must have been charging.
Miyamoto, will you ever learn?
He will never learn, and we don't want him to. We're glad that everyone is okay, of course. This seems like it's not that big a deal, right?
No. I think if it wasn't happening at like Nintendo's headquarters,
right,
that it would.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. Or something very important was damaged, and we'll never see Metroid Prime 4.
That's right. Oof. Remember that interview with Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa in the Japanese business newspaper Nikkei that we talked about last week? And it included an unsourced report that Nintendo had no plans to release new hardware this fiscal year.
I remember this.
Yeah. So that was based on the Japanese article, translations from the Japanese article. But in the official English translation, that information is not there.
Vanished.
Yes.
Well, okay. So does that mean someone tried to like track down a source, couldn't do it, and was like, forget it, we can't print it?
Or, yeah, I have no idea. Or does it mean that, because it was in the original Japanese article, it was not a quote from Furukawa.
Right.
And it was not like sourced really where this information was
Right.
coming from. It was just something that was seemingly included. So maybe when they did the English translation, they were like, oh, we'll just take this out.
Because there's no evidence of
Uh-huh.
this. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't really know if there's anything to make of it. I don't know that we were expecting new hardware before the end of the fiscal year.
Well, and also someone saying that Nintendo is not planning to release new hardware by such and such date is really just they are not ready to announce that they are going to announce it, or that they are going to put something out by that date. That's all it ever means, is they're not ready to talk about it yet.
Also in the interview, Furukawa was asked if Nintendo was considering price increases to the Nintendo Switch products due to the rising costs of manufacturing and, like microchips and all that kind of stuff. But Furukawa said, no.
Good. I think it would be weird to raise the price of the Switch.
Yeah, basically what he said is that like they don't want to price anybody out, but that also they make I mean, I'm totally paraphrasing, but they make a ton of money off of software, right? So
Yes.
they're incentivized to get people into the ecosystem.
Yeah, totally. The Switch has a way better attach rate than any Nintendo property or hardware has had before this. So like, yeah, just get them into people's hands and they'll buy. Just think of how many like must-play first-party Nintendo Switch games there are, right? Like, you can get one of these things and like be fat and happy with it for months, years,
and you're still to this day paying $60 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Plus, whatever you're going to pay for the Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion pass, and if not the expansion pass, then for the DLC to play the 48 additional tracks.
So I think they're not worried about.
They're not worried about it.
Finally, in an interview with Japanese magazine Nintendo Dream, the director of Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Kirby Star Allies, Shinya Kumazaki, talked about how the two games are connected. And this is as translated by Nintendo Everything. And this was, I guess, a little bit surprising to me because I think of Star Allies as a very different experience.
Right, as like an old-fashioned Kirby game.
Than Forgotten Land. And so Nintendo Dream asked, first, can you talk to us about the thought process behind the creation of Kirby and the Forgotten Land? And Kumazaki said, quote, for the first fully 3D Kirby game, there were many challenges that need to be overcome. One of those was overcome in our previous Kirby, Star Allies, which had been the culmination of a lot of hard work in 2D. And Nintendo Dream asked, the final battle there also had some 3D elements, right? And Kumazaki said, yeah. We thought of it as laying the groundwork for future works, and we were sure that the next game would be 3D. The Kirby team, and particularly HAL Laboratory, considered Star Allies and Forgotten Land to be a single large connected project.
No, come on.
But seemingly, none of this is followed up on, and I have so many questions.
Because, like, just no, right? Like, yes, there are 3D elements at the end of Kirby Star Allies where you are like sort of circling around the boss in like a big 3D plane, and Kirby is in like some sort of crazy vehicle,
but
right?
not that different from the End of Planet Robobot, which is also
remind me how the End of Planet Robobot works.
The same thing. You're like flying. You're in like a spaceship flying, kind of like around.
Oh yeah,
it's not 3D. You can't like circle around it or anything, but it's the same like battle setup.
Yeah. I mean, and I suppose you are in a 3D space at the end of Star Allies, but like, it's almost a truer 3D space than in Forgotten Land, right? Because Forgotten Land keeps that very like strict Super Mario 3D World perspective, right? Where like there's no free roaming camera. You're never like managing that camera or anything like that. Like you just sort of it's a side scroller with like depth of field to it.
But
right?
I mean the conveyance is different for the end of Star Allies, but it's kind of the same thing because you can't like fly around the enemy, can you?
I think you can.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
But I think you're sort of like locked onto the enemy, right? Like no matter what, he stays like in. You're always like around the center that is the enemy. Which like that's more freedom than you got like driving the car in Forgotten Land.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I totally believe that Kirby Star Allies was the culmination of a lot of hard work in 2D. I fully believe that they knew the next one was going to be 3D, but I just have so many there's so many tangling threads where he's like,
I don't buy it. If they had done like a Kid Icarus game or a Star Fox game after that, then I would have been like, okay, I understand. I see how this became that. But like, that's not what this is.
I just feel like this interview, or at least the part that was translated, is not illuminating in how they were connected.
Yes, you are correct. And not only is it not illuminating into how they're even tangentially connected, the fact that they consider them one single large connected project, that's insanity.
Yeah, I need to drill down into that.
Yeah, so look, everyone needs to learn to ask follow-up questions, okay? This interview, what's the problem here? This interviewer not listening.
That's right. They just had their list of prepared questions.
That's right. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or any place where you share stuff. We appreciate it tremendously when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Kart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo, and our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.